I'm Lisa Snowden McCray, editor-in-chief of the Baltimore Beat, an independent paper here in Baltimore City. I'm talking to Jill Carter, head of Baltimore City's Office of Civil Rights and Wage Enforcement, and she's also looking to start a new job. So let's talk a little bit about that. You just announced your candidacy yesterday.
I did, yesterday. So it's 4 months of Stairmaster at level 50, I suppose.
And you're running for state senate.
Yes.
Why?
So a year ago, I stepped down from the House of Delegates, fully willing to walk away from politics, totally.
Yes.
But after I resigned, the senator of the 41st District resigned. Her name was Lisa Gladden. And then one of the delegates, Senator Oaks, was appointed, not elected, to the seat. And many people are aware, so Senator Oaks, almost shortly thereafter, was indicted and is indicted. And he's facing 2 different federal trials, criminal trials, for bribery, obstruction of justice, and maybe some other things. So I feel that that in and of itself has weakened the representation of the 41st District. It's certainly compromised his ability to be able to function even right now in the legislative session, because they've stripped him of his authority. He's not even able to be on any committees for the remainder of the session.
Yeah.
And so that's not the optics of that are bad, but also it weakens our power as a people of this district. So it's important to step up and do it. But there's also some other serious reasons why it's important.
Sure, because I think that somebody else is also running for that position. So why you?
Well, frankly, my experience for all of those years as a delegate, certainly they say you can't have testimony if you don't have test. I was tested many times, and I survived. I prevailed under a lot of very difficult circumstances many times. But I also was, I would characterize my legacy in the House of Delegates as a leader on criminal justice reform and law enforcement reform, and frankly, a voice for the people that were largely ignored routinely in the legislature. And that's the same kind of passion and policy interest I would take to the Senate. But also, we're missing in the Senate. We don't have any lawyers from Baltimore on the House Judiciary Committee. I mean, the Senate I'm still saying House. The Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee has no member from Baltimore City. There are no lawyers from Baltimore City in the Senate delegation. I think there may be one, but not a practicing attorney. And so that matters. It matters to understand what the laws are and how the laws work actually in people's lives once we pass them. So I think that's very important. So,
and please correct me if I'm wrong, I read the Baltimore Sun story on you entering the race. It says that if you win the seat, you're going to do both jobs?
So contrary to most people's belief, most legislators have a full-time job outside of the legislature. I was one of the few people who was running around, practicing law part-time in the interim, and it was a real struggle. So absolutely, I would do both. I've already figured out how I can do both. For the duration of the campaign, I'm going to still come to work and do my job. I'll work early in the mornings, late in the evenings, on the weekends. And then once I win, I would just have a reduced schedule during the session when I have to be in Annapolis. But the key is to put the good people in place in the office to make sure that they can handle things in my absence.
I mean, we just talked a little bit about all the work that's still to be done. So it just seems like such a critical time. And I know that you guys don't get a lot of funding and resources. So will there be bodies there, like if you weren't there, like are there enough people and resources there to do the work?
So we're working on it. It's an uphill battle. When I first took on the office, it was in less than ideal shape, and of course I didn't know that going in. You can't know things until you've done it. But in a year in, I realized a lot of the failings and shortcomings of the office, and we've been working on fixing those. And so it's my hope that by the time I would get to Annapolis, they would be largely cleared up. That's staffing shortages and other things. But it was important for me also to have top-notch investigators. And so we're working on hiring new investigators. We're working on enhancing the training of the investigators. And so I actually do believe, I think it's going to work. I mean, I think as director, my role is to really set the vision, the policy, and give the direction. It isn't necessarily a requirement that I'm there every single day managing every operation, even though that's what I do now. But if I put the right things in place, I think it'll work well. And then I also believe the two go hand in hand to a certain extent. I think that one can necessarily leverage the other. So, for example, I don't think that there's any reason why there should not be a civil rights agenda in the Senate.
Actually, talking about that, like a lot of the things that I've read about you, a lot of things, you know, and I tell people that I was going to interview you today, you were doing the work and kind of ringing the alarm in Annapolis about, like, you know, an emphasis on civil rights, an emphasis on kind of like criminal justice reform back in the day, like back before it was kind of like an accepted thing now. What do you think about possibly going back and maybe even working with some of those same people that maybe weren't trying to hear you before?
So I think there's a little bit of a change. First of all, there's a younger core of legislators that have been elected since I was first there. That's still not enough to really change it because it's a leadership-driven place. The leadership determines just about everything. So here's my hope. The Democrats, the Democrat Party, because everybody from Baltimore that is elected is a Democrat, they have the power in the House and the Senate. Governor Hogan doesn't have the power to pass or kill any legislation or with the numbers of Republicans. And so it is my hope that because of what's happened on the national level and because the Democrats have lost the governor's seat, because they have lost so much ground both locally and nationally, that they'll be more amenable to a changed way of thinking, that coupled with the newer group of legislators that are coming in. And the Democrats cannot afford to continue to lose their base. And they've got to step up for the people. I just went to an event the other night, Black Girls Vote event, and I found it interesting because this wasn't coming from other people that I don't normally hear it from. They were saying that we can't guarantee our vote to any party. They have to carry our agenda. We can no longer have this blind loyalty to the Democratic Party. And so that makes me happy because let me be clear, I'm a Democrat and I'm not against Democrats. I just want Democrats to be what they're supposed to be. I want them to embrace the people that they claim to stand for. And I think that certain things are in place where they might be kind of forced to have that happen.
So, final question. The Me Too movement is happening nationwide. I've written personally about not so much sexual harassment, but other kinds of harassment in Annapolis. The story that I wrote was about a Black woman. So I know that whatever is largely kind of seen as a white feminist issue, it hits us worse. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like what's kind of some of the stuff that you've had to face as a Black woman in power trying to get stuff done?
Well, it's interesting because when finally people started talking about Black Lives Matter, I immediately thought what people on the ground don't realize in these legislative bodies, when you're Black or Black and female anywhere, you're experiencing the same kind of dismissiveness, the same kind of marginalization. And so I felt that I had to plead my humanity every single day that I was in the General Assembly. But I wasn't pleading it for myself. I realized I was pleading it for my people. Because it wasn't that I was being dismissed simply because I was a Black woman who was an independent thinking Black woman. It was because I was speaking for people that they did not want to acknowledge, like lead poisoned children, like people that are arrested or have criminal records, just any group of people that they don't see as a major power base.
That's interesting. All right, well, thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for the work you do.
Thanks. I'm Lisa Snowden McCray. You've been watching the Real News Network. Thanks.